In January 2026, 17-year-old Hailey Buzbee disappeared from her home in Fishers, Indiana. Her family called for help but got no answers for a month. Then, a horrific revelation.
Unfortunately, with the evidence we have today, she will not be coming home alive.
Police say a 39-year-old man groomed Hailey for a year before taking her from her home in the middle of the night. After weeks of investigation, police found him in Columbus, Ohio.
We made contact with him in Ohio, and he admitted to picking Hailey up at her home.
But Hailey's light continues to shine. From classrooms to the Indiana State House, her memory lives on.
The world is a sadder place without you, Hailey.
She was just an amazing person all around.
This special report is the story of a horrible crime and the fight to keep it from happening again. It's about remembering a girl gone far too soon. This is the disappearance of Hailey Buzbee. Thanks for joining us for our streaming special on the disappearance of Hailey Buzbee. I'm Scott Swan. Hailey has been laid to rest, but the main suspect in her disappearance is now awaiting a federal trial. Ashton Hackman was there in a federal courthouse in Columbus, Ohio, as 39-year-old Tyler Thomas was indicted for what he allegedly did to Hailey.
On February 10th, Tyler Thomas was charged federally here in Columbus, Ohio. He's not facing charges for Hailey Buzbee's death, but we are learning new information about the communication between Thomas and Buzbee and previous meetups between the two. Thomas is charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. Police believe he took Buzbee to his home in Columbus and a short-term rental in Hocking County, Ohio, claims that Thomas denies. Prosecutors allege the two were communicating online for more than a year. Thomas allegedly told police he met Hailey while playing online video games like Roblox and League of Legends. He also allegedly said they would communicate on Discord and a secure chat app known as Session. Prosecutors now, they allege Thomas traveled 2 other times to visit Buzbee in Indiana, once in June, another time in July. Despite all of that evidence revealed today, Thomas's attorney says they aren't giving up.
We're going to defend it. We're going to defend it vigorously. We're going to deal with the charges straight up, and we'll deal with professional and capable prosecutors, whether it's in state court or federal. So we're used to both venues and jurisdictions.
Thomas's attorney said any charges tied to Hailey Buzbee's death could come from the federal level. And after the hearing today on February 10th, Thomas will be moved to a different facility from the Franklin County Jail here in Ohio. As of this taping, that facility remains to be set.
Ashton, thanks so much. So as he mentioned in his story, all of this started long before Hailey went missing. In fact, the suspect said they were talking for more than a year. It all began online. According to the court documents, Hailey met the suspect while playing games there. He mentioned 2, Roblox and League of Legends by name. But the conversation didn't stay in the games. Tyler Thomas spoke on Discord, where investigators allegedly found a disturbing and violent conversation with a different teen. He also used Snapchat. This screenshot contained in court documents shows Thomas chatting on Snapchat and then saying to switch to the other app. That app may have been Session, an encrypted chat program. Then investigators believe things came to the real world. On June 2, 2025, roughly 6 months after they met, according to Thomas's timeline, credit card records put him at the restaurant where Hailey was working. A month later, cell phone records show Thomas made a second trip to central Indiana. His phone had a photo that allegedly showed Hailey with him in a car. They think it may have been the same one he used to abduct Hailey from her home. It happened shortly after 3 a.m. on January 6th. Neighbors of the Buzbees woke up to their dogs barking. Security cameras showed a dark vehicle moving through the neighborhood and Hailey's phone disconnected from the family Wi-Fi. Police used license plate readers to track the vehicle and identify the woman who owned it. She told investigators she was in Florida the night Hailey went missing, but that Thomas may have been driving it. She also gave them his phone number. Police used that phone number to track Thomas's movements. They showed he left Columbus, Ohio the night Haley went missing and traveled here to central Indiana. Then he went back to Columbus before driving down to an Airbnb in Hocking County, Ohio. Finally, on January 7th, investigators say phone records show Thomas going to the North Country Trailhead in the Wayne National Forest. He stayed in that area for almost 5 hours. 2 weeks later, he would lead investigators back to that spot. That's where they would find Haley's remains. Later that same day, Fishers police would announce that they believed Haley was dead and that a person of interest was in custody. That was Sunday, February 1st. By Monday, February 2nd, Tyler Thomas made his first appearance in Franklin County Court in Ohio on charges related to Haley's disappearance. Lacey Crisp was there in the courtroom as Thomas faced a judge for the first time.
Knowing that Thomas had been in contact with Haley, on January 21st, Columbus police searched this home where Thomas had been staying to find any clues about where Haley could be. Wrapped in an anti-suicide vest, murder suspect Tyler Thomas closed his eyes as the magistrate read the charges against him.
Pandering, sexual-oriented material involving a minor.
Knowing there's likely more to come.
Our client said, you take whatever steps are necessary to bring closure to this aspect of the case.
Thomas's defense attorney, Sam Szymanski, explained his client turned himself in and helped law enforcement return Haley's remains to her parents. He was adamant Thomas will be pleading not guilty to any murder charges.
There's a difference between being responsible for certain acts of which one is not proud, and also distinguishing from taking another's life.
After that hearing, search warrants were unsealed detailing that deleted nude pictures found in Thomas's phone of Haley matched furniture and decor inside this Columbus house. Cell phone records placed Thomas at Haley's house, the Columbus house, Logan Airbnb, and at Wayne National Forest in Perry County, Ohio. 8 days after that hearing, those charges were dropped and the new federal charges were filed, painting a broader picture that Thomas was talking to more underage girls than just Haley. During the brief hearing in federal court, Thomas sat emotionless, hair disheveled, leaning back in his seat as Szymanski waived the preliminary and detention hearings. The very next day, the FBI searched the Columbus house looking for more evidence for more possible charges against the man who had no prior criminal record. And Thomas is being held in federal custody without bond. Lacey Crisp, back to you.
Lacey, thank you so much. Haley's disappearance has also highlighted the danger online. Millions of kids navigate the internet safely every day, but some apps are more dangerous than others. Bartholomew County Deputy Prosecutor Christina Karabov told our Logan Gay if your child is using an encrypted app on their phone, that's the first red flag parents should notice.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Most people want some level of privacy on their phones. But how much is too much? And when does privacy start to become dangerous?
All the offender's really looking for at first, though, is just a place to chat one-on-one with the child where they think a parent isn't necessarily looking over the child's shoulder.
Court documents show 39-year-old Tyler Thomas told detectives he used the Session app to plan Buzbee's runaway attempt and transportation. Christina Karabov with the Bartholomew County Prosecutor's Office says cases like this are not unusual.
The offender convinces the child to go to another platform. So they might meet in a game and say, hey, let's go chat over in Instagram or in Snapchat or Kik or Session.
Karabov says parents should know what apps their kids are using, especially encrypted ones.
As a parent, to me, that's a red flag. Why does my child have this app? And then it's time for me to sit down and have a conversation with my child about who showed you this app. What are you communicating?
Court documents say Thomas told detectives that Session requires a specific code or string of numbers to access or recover account data. He said deleting this code would prevent police from seeing the messages.
Once the communication becomes encrypted end-to-end, law enforcement can't, or the companies, technology companies can't see what's going on in that chat the way that they can on other applications.
Karabov says Haley's story shows the danger isn't always outside your home. Sometimes it's right at your fingertips.
I think for some parents, they think this would never be my child. And let Haley's family remind you that it could be your child, because she is everyone's child right now.
That was Logan Gay reporting. We'll hear more from Logan in a little bit about a class that Hailey's school district put on to keep children safe online. But Thomas didn't meet Hailey on a chat app. He actually met her on a gaming app. He mentioned Roblox and League of Legends by name, according to court records. Now, we reached out to the companies behind both of those games. Roblox acknowledges Buzbee and Thomas used their platform, though we didn't hear back from League of Legends' parent company, Riot Games. As you know, gaming is a big part of some kids' social lives. According to the Pew Research Center, 85% of American teens play video games. 72% of them say they do it to spend time with others. Jenny Runovich talked with experts to find out how kids can play games safely and the warning signs if something goes wrong.
After this kind of tragedy, it's so tempting for parents to say, just shut it all off. But that's not realistic. As adults, we have a bit of a digital divide. Kids now spend a ton of time online. That's how they socialize.
However, you can help make it safer. Parents can use online filters, check security settings, and ask kids regularly, what apps are you using, what games, what are the conversations, who's on there. Safety is a big push for Hailey Buzbee's family, too. They're advocating for Hailey's Law, part of which would require predator and online grooming education in Indiana schools. The petition now has well over 50,000 signatures. Experts say predators do gravitate toward online games and chats, looking to groom, then exploit kids.
Use a lot of time. They will invest a lot of time to get to know the child because they want to get to know kind of where their vulnerabilities are, what kind of oversight does this kid have at home. They need to know that, is this going to be someone that I can manipulate and get away with it? This can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter how many rules you have in place for your kids. This can happen to anyone.
That's why looking for red flags for teenagers is so important too. If chats get too uncomfortable, get too personal, tell a trusted adult. Jenny Runovich, 13 News.
Hailey's family is calling on lawmakers to make the internet safer for all children.
The overwhelming support we have received from all corners of this state is not only a testament to our beautiful daughter Hailey, but also a powerful cry for action.
We'll look at their push to get Hailey's Law passed and how it's already seeing results. Plus,
it just feels like this has just been such a violation of the community, like of our safety, of what we feel is real.
Hailey School District holds classes to teach parents lessons about internet safety as those changes work their way through the Indiana State House. And a final farewell.
I want you to know this wasn't your fault. And today, I'm here to show you that you were never alone, and you never will be.
We'll take you inside Hailey's celebration of life as our special report continues. Welcome back. The mayor of Fishers, Indiana, where Hailey Buzbee lived, declared February Go Pink for Hailey Month. The entire city now features ribbons and lights in Hailey's favorite color. The mayor told us he wanted the Buzbee family to see their community is standing with them. The day police announced Hailey was probably dead, her family, with the help of organizer Megan Tomlinson, started a petition to change laws here in Indiana and protect other Hoosier kids. As of today, more than 100,000 people have signed that petition calling for Hailey's Law. Our Indiana State House reporter Emily Longnecker has found lawmakers are already working to make that happen.
Well, you know, Scott, it's rare to find anything here at the Indiana State House that gets really instant bipartisan support, but that is exactly what has happened here with this push. Within a week of the Hailey's Law petition being posted online, her parents were speaking directly with lawmakers here at the Indiana State House. Some of those lawmakers wept when they heard her parents' testimony.
We are in the midst of the greatest crisis of our time. We are losing the fight to protect our children. The internet and social media are the devil's and predators' playgrounds, and it's on this front that we must fight.
That was Buzbee trying to convince lawmakers to add restrictions on social media access for kids. The restrictions amended onto Senate Bill 199. Those restrictions would mean anyone 16 years old or younger would need to have verified parental permission to open up a social media account. After their testimony, the Buzbees joined Indiana House Speaker Todd Houston as he put forward another amendment featuring part of Haley's law.
And we're also looking at how we can bolster Indiana's alert system to make sure a situation like this triggers an alert in the future.
And both of those amended bills had already passed in their original chambers. So House Bill 1303 with the alert expansion amendment was actually in a Senate committee, and that committee passed the amendment with unanimous support. It now heads to the full Senate for a vote. Senate Bill 199 was in the House Education Committee. That's the bill with the social media restrictions. The vote on that was much closer, narrowly passing on a 7-4 vote. It now moves on to the full House for a vote. Scott?
Emily, thanks so much. The Speaker of the House isn't the only Indiana leader coming out in support of changing laws in our state. Governor Mike Braun, along with Indiana State Police Superintendent Anthony Scott, sat down with our Dustin Grove to talk about what needs to change. We want you to hear this part of their conversation.
Thank you both for being here.
Good to be here.
Governor, I'll start with you. What goes through your mind when you hear those comments from Mr. Buzbee and others who say something more needs to be done to protect our kids?
So the Buzbees were in my office yesterday and up to probably 15 minutes. And when they described, in their own tragic case what happened, there were no real warning signs. It's technology that enables the predator, the perpetrator, to do things that most parents aren't going to see. And in this case, if he had not done some work in his own neighborhood to try to push the investigation in Fishers, and it was a camera on a block or so away that actually started the whole process to end up, getting the trail started and actually finding how this came down. So my big concern is big tech is profiting from this. Their algorithms allow it. If anything we try to do with a sophisticated technology that's crafted in a way that allows it, they need to be responsible to fix it. They're protected by a strange liability clause. This is an example of where anything we do, state by state, is still going to probably not prevent it completely when you've got an accommodating technology that the kids are going to know a lot more about it than the parents, and the people that know the most about it, probably the predator.
You can find Dustin's entire interview with the governor on demand over on WTHR+. The changes the Buzbees are calling for also have the support from the woman responsible for the Amber Alert system. She told our Jenna Webster it's time for Indiana to expand the rules.
Across Hailey Buzbee's hometown, pink ribbons highlight what some feel is a gap in the missing persons alert system.
We need to do more.
Carolyn Alvey helped create the Amber Alert system in 1996. It's only issued for a child who police believe was abducted and in imminent danger of serious injury or death. There also has to be enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction.
It's time for the state of Indiana to update that based on where we are with technology. The Amber Alert 30 years ago, we didn't have any of that. We didn't even consider what that technology could do in terms of the criteria for law enforcement.
Alvey says Haley's disappearance is highlighting a need to expand the criteria for an Amber Alert, not create a whole new system like the Pink Alert.
It's not that rigid in other states across the country.
The guidelines apply nationwide, but she says some state agencies have more flexibility than Indiana. Take where Alvey lives in Texas, which can issue Amber Alerts even if the criteria isn't fully verified.
Teenagers can't always make those decisions, right? So as adults, we need to make sure we're doing everything to protect them. So the police, in their investigative work, they uncovered that some things that were happening that they knew that Haley was probably in jeopardy, but they still couldn't issue, by law, they still could not issue the Amber Alert, and that's what we need to change.
30 years after the Amber Alert was created, Haley's case could be the one to change it.
Haley's life meant something because now we're having this conversation. And my position is let's continue to have this conversation, not just in Indiana, but across the country.
Alvey now calling on legislatures across the country to revisit their policies so police aren't prevented from issuing an alert when a child's life is at risk. Jenna Webster, 13 News.
Beyond the Indiana State House, parents want to know what they can do to protect their children from the threats online. Logan Gay joined Hamilton Southeastern families at the school that Haley attended for a crucial conversation about internet safety.
Haley's story was definitely on everyone's mind at this meeting, and they're using that as fuel to learn tools to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Inside the same school where 17-year-old Hailey Buzbee once went to class, parents gathered for a lesson of their own, learning how to protect their kids from online predators.
It's just been super heavy, and I feel like as parents, it just feels like this has just been such a violation of the community, like of our safety, of what we feel is real.
The event was planned before Haley's death, but her story is what brought many parents here Wednesday night.
The conversations with parents, kids, everyone for weeks have just been heavy, and everyone's just trying to figure out how to make sense of it.
Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Tiffany Preston led the conversation. She spent nearly 18 years investigating internet crimes against children. Because of the graphic nature of some conversations, children and news cameras were not allowed inside. But Preston says the goal is simple: use what we know from Haley's case to empower families.
It really comes down to three important things: communicating with our kids, talking with them, telling them about the dangers that are out there in an age-appropriate way, restricting access to some apps until they're ready, and most importantly, providing support.
Preston says any child with internet access can be at risk.
Most often, kids who are targeted by these specific type of predators are kids who are doing well in school. They have a smartphone, they have extracurriculars, they are close with their families.
She says that's why parents can't assume their child isn't vulnerable.
We live in a modern world, and you need to be prepared and at the same time teach them with love.
Well, I'm going to go home and check all of our phones and check all of my kids' settings and just have a conversation about all of that I learned.
In Fishers, Logan Gay, 13 News.
As parents work to keep their children safe online, the suspect in Haley's disappearance is held in federal custody. What's next in his criminal case? But first,
We will be okay, sweetheart. Please allow yourself to finally rest. We love you.
an outpouring of love as an entire community comes together to celebrate Haley's life. That's next as our special report continues. Welcome back. Haley's community continues to show their support for her family. This portrait of Haley was painted by her junior high art teacher and is currently displayed in Fishers City Hall. On February 12th, Haley's community came out to show their love, support, and shared grief at her celebration of life at I-Town Church in Fishers. Logan Gay shares the emotional memories of a girl gone far too soon.
Although Haley's life was short, her service showed the countless moments that will live on through the people who loved her and the community that stood behind her.
Inside Hailey Buzbee's celebration of life service, a message written by her father, Bo, gave everyone a glimpse into the quiet, beautiful moments her family says will be in their hearts forever.
I still consider myself the luckiest dad ever. I will always feel your sweet hugs and kisses on my cheek, though now I won't have to wipe off the lip gloss.
Her family says Haley's smile said everything. She was sweet, patient, kind, smart, and a leader.
Such a curious mind led her to pursue journalism. She was part of the broadcast journalism news team at school, sometimes in the director of news role.
Along with her bubbly personality, her family says people might be surprised to learn she could also be quiet and shy, but still had a strong presence. In a statement, her father says he understands, like most teenagers, she was just doing her best.
I know the teenage years were tough at times, but you navigated them with such grace and strength. Like so many others, you may have felt alone at times, despite the love that surrounded you. But I want you to know this wasn't your fault. And today, I'm here to show you that you were never alone and you never will be.
And with that mindset, her family says they will continue forward.
Please guide me as I try my best to tuck in your sister the way you did every night.
Her father says she saved him the day she was born and gave him a purpose to love and protect her. Now he says he and the community members around him are using that same purpose to help others.
The world is a sadder place without you, Hailey, but it is not broken. You're still in our life. Your family will carry your legacy, your love in our hearts, your memories in our minds.
I want you to know that the changes we make going forward will be rooted in the love you brought into the world during your time with us. We will be okay, sweetheart. Please allow yourself to finally rest. We love you. With all my love, your proud dad.
In Noblesville, Logan Gay, 13 News.
The outpouring of love did not stop with that funeral. This is video of Buzbee's neighborhood last night. Their neighbors passed out pink light bulbs to light up this neighborhood with Hailey's favorite color. That way her family would know they were not alone. It wasn't just the adults showing support for Hailey's family. Her classmates, the kids who walked the halls of Hamilton Southeastern with her for years, are showing their support. The day after Hailey's celebration of life, the students got together to hand out T-shirts. Volunteers helped unpack the shirts and then sort them by size for students to buy. All the proceeds go to Hailey's family. But keeping her memory alive was important too.
We just wanted to enable the community to support in a way that carries on Hailey's legacy, that shows everybody and reminds them of who she was and what she was passionate about, journalism being one of those things.
Many of the volunteers were her fellow students who remembered Hailey for her kindness most of all.
She was always a light. She was very positive. She was just an amazing person all around.
She was extremely sweet, and she was always really kind to me. So I think that by having this line out for people to purchase, they're able to kind of just remember her as being a really nice person.
Many of the volunteers were teachers and staff, including those who had Hailey in class with them, trying to be there for her classmates as they processed their own grief.
The adults in this building are hurting too. I think sometimes we take that for granted. We're like, she was a student and the students are hurting, but I have some friends that had her in class, and it's been a struggle for us as well, because we put our feelings aside when we're here to be there for our students, and then we have to deal with our own on our own time. So if you see a teacher, just thank them.
Outside the cafeteria at Hamilton Southeastern stands Hailey's tree, covered in heart-shaped notes, each carrying a message of love and support meant for Hailey from the students and staff at her school. That fundraiser for Hailey's family has already raised more than $5,000. They're still selling shirts at the fan stand and during sporting events. There's also a link where you can order a shirt. We've got it posted on WTHR.com. The service is over, but the grief over that loss is not. And neither is the quest for justice. What's next in the criminal case around the disappearance of Hailey Buzbee? When we come back. The investigation into the disappearance of Hailey Buzbee has identified a suspect, but the search for justice is far from over. Tyler Thomas's defense team waived his first two hearings, but we are a long way from a trial. Adam Brower and Sam Fife join me in studio. They're with the law firm Banks & Brower. Both of these men work as defense attorneys, both have prosecuting experience, but neither of them are affiliated with this particular case. But they're offering analysis for us based on their experience. Thanks, guys, so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. I think one of the big questions that we hear from a lot of viewers right now, why haven't prosecutors filed a murder charge in the case?
I'll tell you that that's honestly pretty typical in a situation like this. So
the information comes in, they evaluate it, and they know that there are certain charges that they can definitely make pretty quickly, right? So based on the information and the investigation, they knew they had the fact that she had been transferred across state lines. They knew, in fact, that there was something sexual in nature that occurred. Those are pretty quick and easy, right? So they filed the state-related case first, and then at the end of that, the feds know that they're going to jump in. They end up dismissing the state-based charges, and now they're left with the federal charges they know they can easily prove and keep him in custody for. That allows them enough time to continue to investigate, and clearly I think this is going to result in a federal murder.
In terms of, you're not privy, of course, to the details of this particular case, but help us understand what goes into the decision in terms of what charges to file.
Well, a lot of information. It's going to be the entire investigation they've done. There's going to be, always some thought, can we prove this beyond a reasonable doubt? What can we actually prove? What may we lose at trial? And if we lose one thing at trial, could it impact other charges that we have? I'm sure a murder charge will be coming, and it could come at any time.
Yeah, what I would add to that is the higher the level of the offense, the more careful they want to be, right? You don't want to come out of the gate without knowing you're going to be able to prove it. So they're going to come out of it with the things they know that they can prove. And then once he's in custody and on a bond that he's probably not going to be able to post, it gives them enough time to go back and investigate the more serious things.
So Thomas has been relatively cooperative, even showing investigators where Haley's body was buried, but his attorney says he will plead not guilty to any murder charges. So what kind of defense might they pursue here?
Yeah, I wouldn't honestly read too deeply into that one. So any criminal defense attorney worth their weight is going to enter a preliminary plea of not guilty right out of the gate, because you don't want your client to fully admit to something until you've had a chance to review the evidence. So it's very typical, even if a defendant shows up at the initial hearing and doesn't even have an attorney, the judge will enter a preliminary plea of not guilty on their behalf. So that's not something to read too deeply into.
Okay. Federal cases can often take a long time. Is it too early to think about when a trial might actually take place?
Honestly, yes. It's going to take a long time before we get there. There's still likely investigation that has to be done before the government or the defense is even ready to consider a trial.
Yeah, especially on a murder. Most federal cases that we're involved on, the law of averages is going to be 9 months to a year. You couple that with a high-profile case involving murder, it's very common for it to take a while to go to trial.
So what would be the next steps for both the prosecution and the defense as we get ready for a potential trial?
So the main thing first is get the charges filed, right? And then there's going to be what's referred to as the discovery phase. So the federal government will have an order from the judge saying you have to get the evidence to the defense counsel within a certain amount of time. This is going to have a lot of evidence, just based on the indictment, the complaint actually. There's a lot of nuance. There's search warrants. There's going to be medical records tied to the autopsy, I'm sure. There's all these search warrants tied to the third-party request for discovery for phone records. So it's going to be a long, drawn-out process of making sure the discovery is done.
Is there something that our viewers should be watching in terms of the process of the trial coming? Is there something that they ought to be paying attention to as something that would be key to proving that he was guilty or not guilty?
Yeah, I'll tell you, just in reading the complaint and the fact that that he led them to the body, I think the argument that he's not involved in some way is going to be very, very, very difficult. I think the next thing to look for is the actual indictment on the murder. It's a little bit different at the federal level. There's a complaint, and then there is an indictment. You can move forward just based on the complaint by agreement. Most of the time it goes to a grand jury, and the grand jury is the one that hands down the indictment. So that might be the next stage, or his counsel may just agree that they're going to come to some sort of an agreement pre-indictment, but that's all going to play out over time.
You have any thoughts along those lines?
Well, again, it can take a lot of time. Again, the first step is going to be waiting for the indictment on the murder charge. I anticipate that's going to come. I don't know how long it will take, but I would be shocked if it does not happen soon. And then the discovery phase can take a long time. Like Mr. Brower just said, there's going to be a lot of evidence. The digital evidence, the phones, all the records from the social media apps, the communications, it's going to be voluminous. There's going to be quite a bit for them to get through, and it's going to take a lot of time.
Adam Brower and Sam Fife, thank you both for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
You bet. The fight for justice for Haley is far from over. Questions still remain about what happened and her family is still grieving an unimaginable loss.
I want you to know that the changes we make going forward will be rooted in the love you brought into the world.
But the impact of her life is just beginning to be felt. From classmates sharing messages of love and working to keep her memory alive.
She was a beautiful soul.
She was always a light.
To lawmakers fighting to make sure that no other children suffer as she did.
We will provide every tool necessary to ensure that this will never happen again.
And parents learning to keep their kids safe at home.
Like, hey, we're figuring it out. We're not just leaving it alone.
And a community united in showing her family they are not alone. Hailey Buzbee will never disappear as her light shines on.